이 자리에 초대받게 되어 영광입니다. I swear, it always sounds much better when I'm practicing. So thank you to the hosts and to the organizers of this event. It's a pleasure to be here today, but I will say one thing. I can't believe I have to follow these three guys. So I will try and keep it quick, and I will try and keep it informative. To tell you a little bit about myself, I am now the general manager of TaylorMade Golf here in Korea, but I started out actually with TaylorMade Adidas Golf, managing the Latin America business for about 5 years, and now I've been here in Korea for about a year and a half. I absolutely love it here. I couldn't be more pleased to be a part of this wonderful country, and how excited I am to be a part of a country where golf is a sport that is loved by all. It is such a huge market, and to start off, there we go. I wanted to tell you a little bit about the market in Korea for those of you that aren't familiar with this sport. I know they've shared with you some information on where golf ranks amongst all of the sports in Korea, but overall, it is the third largest golf market in the world, which is pretty spectacular. The only two markets that are bigger overall are the US and Japan. Now, even more incredible is Koreans per person or per golfer spend more money on apparel than any other country in the world. So obviously, not only in golf, but in fashion overall, you guys love to spend money and love to be up to date on all of the trends going on throughout the world, and especially here in Korea. Now, the other thing is, Instagram is certainly the fastest growing platform here in Korea. Now, that's not to say that is the only platform. Of course, there is Facebook and YouTube, some of which you'll see content from those as I talk to all of you today. But here in Korea, we obviously can't forget about Naver and Taum. And those we will talk more about a little later also as we get into more of the local content. So, having living and working here, I can definitely understand some more of the social media tendencies here in Korea, but also being aware of the global power and ever-changing aspects of social media for golf. Now, golf brands and golf equipment manufacturers like TaylorMade face the same challenges as any other sporting goods industry face throughout the world. We have to capture an audience. We have to grow our fan base. And we, of course, hope that all of these activities will drive sales. If not, I won't have a job for very long. So, since the previous panelists gave some great examples, I make sure I wanted to give you some examples of how we use social media in golf. There's no way I could go over all of the examples. And actually, as all these guys said earlier too, by next year, there will probably be something new. There might be a new platform, there might be new content creation, and there just might be new ways of spreading this content throughout the world. So it's not meant to be an inclusive overall view of golf and why TaylorMade uses social media, because not even I'm an expert in that category. But one thing I do know is that we all have to adapt and adapt quickly, which is what we at TaylorMade are trying to do. So you're going to see a lot of TaylorMade examples and TaylorMade players, but that's not to say we're even the best at what we do. There's local brands that take a different flavor and certainly connect well to the Korean consumer, and there's other global brands that we compete against, but that we always compare ourselves to and benchmark with such as Callaway and Titleist, not only at the global level, but here in Korea also. So, why do golf brands use social media? Now, I know this is quite a long list, and my PowerPoint skills aren't nearly as good as these guys, but we certainly have to. As a brand, social media has become so important, but not the only important item. As Max said earlier, TV is still incredibly important, especially here in Korea, and especially in a sport like golf, where live viewership is still very high and incredibly important to any golf fanatic, whether it be here in Korea or around the world. Now, of course, we, as a golf brand at TaylorMade, want to reach a much wider audience and become more connected with our core fans, something that I will talk about a little later as well. The cool thing is social media provides this incredible opportunity for TaylorMade and for any golf brand to really learn more, not only about their customer or their client, but what really drives them, what really encourages them to be a part of our brand. Now, they also talked about these incredibly new ways of storytelling, and it's even happened in golf. It's a sport where you can get so close to the athlete, to the competitor when you're at a live tournament, and bringing that to the rest of the world or to somebody that's thousands of miles away, like we are in Korea when there's a PGA Tour event, is something that golf really can do in this way. And like Josh talked about how taking off the helmet for NFL players, well, we want to make sure we can get as close or inside the ropes. You might have heard that expression in the golf world. Now, of course, in golf, we absolutely use social media to launch new product. Something, again, I will talk about a little later. It's really interesting, however, how much social media and the internet has changed the way we launch product. TaylorMade, for instance, will not be attending the largest consumer trade show for golf in the world in 2019, the PGA Show of America, because they found that they can do more and create more value, and there are more opportunities to launch our new product without having to actually be live and in person at a 3-day event that costs millions of dollars and might not necessarily create the return now that a social media campaign combined with other outlets that Nielsen will certainly help us with can achieve. So that is how drastically and how quickly social media has impacted even the way we sell and we launch. And finally, with the word you might have heard, and all of you studying at the university with some of these incredible instructors, is this geo-marketing or connecting or creating content for the local consumer. So you have just an incredible opportunity to relate to these golfers here in Korea, even if it's a global campaign, easily translated or easily edited to connect to a local consumer. And finally, of course, what's most important is the ability to make money with social media. And whether that be through sponsorships, we'll talk about it with the PGA Tour here shortly, with their ability to create co-branding opportunities with the people that sponsor their tournaments. Even at TaylorMade here in Korea, we're always looking for opportunities to co-brand with other companies that are so well known and have such a positive image here in Korea that we can work with to create that positive relationship for TaylorMade Golf. So I want to take the time to really look at something dramatic in the golf industry that happened just this year. The PGA Tour, in the US, of course, I know we have the Korean PGA Tour here, and the Korean LPGA here as well, but had to actually relaunch or create a new campaign for their entire company, for their brand. They had actually used the same campaign for over 20 years. It was the longest running single sports campaign out of any sports in the world. So I don't know if any of you who are golfers might have remembered this hashtag or the phrase, "these guys are good." So they used that for over 20 years. But they realized that they now needed to capture a new, some can call it younger or just different audience in order to grow the sport. Because in many ways, golf, like any other sport around the world, is not only striving or struggling to gain a larger audience, but they also want to keep and deepen the relationship with the audience that they already have. So these, going into this new campaign creation, were 4 criteria that they used when they were coming up with a new campaign. They wanted to make sure, especially, that the last 2 items on this list were absolutely vital to the campaign. So they wanted to make sure they could invite non-golfing fans, so new fans, to participate, and then create that 2-way interaction between the brand and the fans. So,
out here, there are no assigned seats. The front row is always moving. Because out here, it belongs to fans who live it, breathe it, and feel it anywhere in the world. Every shot fuels fans to cheer louder, fueling players to go lower. Because out here on the PGA Tour, we live every moment together. Because out here, whether player or fan, we all live under par.
wow! All right, so I'm a golfer, and even that gets me excited. But you saw how many social media references there were in this 1-minute introduction video, their launch of this new Live Under Par campaign. So it's really interesting that the representative said that perhaps most telling is that while older viewers enjoy the usual competitive drama of televised tournaments, younger viewers are looking for social connections and for the players to be relatable. So throughout this year, this was only launched in April of this year, you could see some of the results, and I won't go through all of them now so we can, for a matter of time, but one of the most interesting ones up here is that 71% of the fans using this hashtag Live Under Par were under 24 years old, an entirely new and important demographic if golf is going to continue to grow throughout the years. And the last one, it's been monetized for these guys. Like I said earlier, working with their social media groups and with sponsors and other brands, they've just absolutely created this ability to monetize what they're doing on social media. So now I get to talk to about something a little easier, which is the company I work for. I was going to say my company, but Not yet. So this is actually an internal goal or part of the internal TaylorMade company philosophy at a global level. We as a company strive to be the most connected. Now, of course, from an internal standpoint, that means we want to be the most connected amongst all of the groups that work within our organization. But it also means we want to be the most connected to our consumers, to the people that not only use our clubs now, but that also might use our clubs in the future. And it's also taking the opportunity to turn somebody that might have an intent to buy one of our clubs in a store, whether it be in the US, whether it be in Europe, or whether it's here in Korea, actually converts to a buyer of one of our products. Now, we also get lucky, right, as a company, when what we do, what our players do, is so easy to share on social media. So instead of providing more amazing examples, I wanted to show a quick video we used to highlight some of our best moments throughout 2008.
Strap yourselves in. Here we go.
Oh, man.
Unbelievably good. Just go in. Just go in.
For John Rahm.
Ball's on its way. J-Day!
What a finish for McIlroy.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
When you bring a truly breakthrough technology like Twist Face, it's simply incredible.
There's actually a ton of technology in this new high-toe wedge.
The milled grind operation that we use, it's perfect every single time.
TaylorMade recently announced their new My Spider program. Why not make your clubs completely unique?
So you spray this in there? So they shoot the foam in, like compressed in there sort of thing? That's really neat, and you can actually feel there's some give in there.
Gapper is that perfect combination of a metalwood and an iron together.
What a season it has been for TaylorMade players across the globe.
We have a new #1, Justin Rose.
Justin Rose wins the FedEx Cup.
You see how many cell phones are out at a tournament.
My journey with TaylorMade has been unbelievable.
Got it. Been a while since we've seen that.
The comeback is complete.
For the 80th time on the PGA Tour, Tiger Woods is a winner.
I just can't believe I pulled this off.
Now, what I really hope is that video motivates all of you golfers to go out and buy one of our products. But one of the more interesting topics that Josh also already talked about, and Jacob as well, is how important it is to gain the trust of your fans, or in our case, our clients and consumers, through the use of our assets, or in this case, our athletes. So you can see here the incredible reach on social media of some of the best golfers in the world. Now, I will say on this list, we have 5 of the top golfers that reach over 20 million people on their social media accounts. So they're playing our clubs. We have advertising rights to use if and when they win, hopefully when they win, to use in other social media aspects throughout the year that really reach the consumer. And in the same way that Josh was talking about in the NFL, really connecting on a much different and a much deeper level. So one of our golfers, to give you the best example, just came out with a new branded set of kids clubs, Rory McIlroy. And I'll show you that video here.
I remember my first golf clubs, which weren't titanium and they weren't anywhere near as good as this. I've actually got my first 2 golf clubs in my house framed up on the wall. That's how much they meant to me. For my name to be on hopefully a lot of kids' first set of clubs, that's really cool. My passion for the game started when I had those first set of clubs, and hopefully, you know, the same thing happens with kids that get these clubs. You know, that's where their passion for the game starts, and then they can go from there. PGA Junior League is a great initiative for junior golf. I think there's not enough of a team aspect in golf, especially junior golf, so for kids to feel a part of a team, I think is awesome. For TaylorMade to team up with the PGA Junior League and obviously for the Roy clubs to hopefully be successful and a lot of kids start to play them, but then the proceeds go back into the game of golf, I think that is awesome. This is the start of something that's very exciting.
So this video, very similar to the examples you've seen already, was played on Rory's personal Twitter feed and TaylorMade's company Twitter feed. You can see the difference in the amount of views and the amount of likes. Obviously, people trust or engage even better with a person or a personality or an athlete than they do the actual brand. Now, it's not to say that 60,000 views and 400 likes isn't good. In terms for us, it's actually quite positive. But when you look at the people who engage with Rory, the difference is obvious. Now, I know, again, I've given a lot of TaylorMade examples, whether it be global or more of a regional basis, but we will get into some more Korea-specific items. Going into that, here in Korea, what I've just learned, and I told somebody sitting behind me earlier, you have to take into account different types of advertising opportunities. Again, being neighbor and taum. But this chart, sorry guys for all of you, it's in Korean. Not even I can understand it, but I'll just point out a couple of things. So what you have over here is what's showing in the growth of actual cable TV. And then over here, you can see what's happening in digital and mobile opportunities. So, and this is spending, obviously. So you can see, as Max said earlier, TV is still incredibly important, and it's incredibly important for TaylorMade Korea. But now it absolutely has to integrate with our social media campaign. It's now one and the same conversation. There is no separate TV discussion and separate social media discussion. It's how can all of this fit together. This, I believe, was mentioned in one of the panel discussions, is what still fascinates me today about Korea. How over 70% of the Korean population gets news from these portals, these two portals you see right here. That's incredible how Koreans are consuming their content, which results in an incredible opportunity at the local level for TaylorMade Korea. Not something that translates to a global level, but something here in Korea that we absolutely have to take into consideration, and we are doing so more, especially for our marketing plan in 2019. Okay, so to be fair, along with that, I wanted to show you some examples of local Korean content. One of the advantages is this content does not cost a lot to create, and it can be uploaded very quickly. So it allows us to adapt to what's happening in the market, to adapt to who's winning, to adapt to any contract or club changes amongst our athletes, and really show the brand in a Korean-centric way. So you can go ahead and play these three back to back.
리더보드 위 내 이름은 스코어에 의해 새겨지고 내 스코어는 볼에 의해 결정된다. 열정, 도전, 헌신, 그리고 결과. 골프볼은 나의 모든 것을 증명한다. 볼은 또 다른 나다.
볼도 슈퍼에그예요?
고반발 볼.
I love this one for some reason.
이야, 슈퍼에그 멀리 가네요.
확신의 비거리. 뭐 이 정도는 기본이지.
넘었어. 이야, 이글 하시겠네.
드라이버도 볼도 고반발. 슈퍼에그 볼 탄생. 프로기아.
Did you get that?
세계 랭킹 1위를 만든 박인비의 볼, 스릭슨 G스타를 경험해보세요. 안녕하세요, 박인비입니다. 제가 2년 6개월 만에 세계 랭킹 1위에 다시 올랐는데요. 최근 좋은 성적은 스릭슨 G스타와 함께 할 수 있었기 때문에 가능했다고 생각합니다. 여러분들도 세계 랭킹 1위를 만든 박인비의 볼, 스릭슨 G스타를 경험해보세요. 지금 구매처에서 특별한 이벤트도 진행하고 있습니다. 저 박인비와 스릭슨 G스타에 앞으로도 많은 응원 부탁드려요.
So if you're using social media to connect to your local or regional or global consumer, what better way than to use actual Korean athletes or create content in the local language, which is what every brand, not just TaylorMade, does throughout social media. Not at an enormous cost like an entire TV ad campaign would require. Now, to show you that TaylorMade has aligned as well with this local content adaptation, I want to show you this example. This is our global campaign, or our global image. As you can see here, these are 6 of the greatest male golfers in the world. Now, we all know here in Korea that the LPGA is just as important, if not more important, than the PGA Tour, where these 6 guys tee it up on a regular basis. So, if you're here in Korea and you walk into any one of our golf zones or AKs or one of our independent retailers, or look at our accounts online, you'll see this image. Now, if any of you are Koreans and follow golf, then you might recognize the female golfer in the middle, S.H. Park, who is the #1 golfer today on the LPGA Tour. So your #1 asset is so important and so relatable here in Korea, but at a global level doesn't necessarily resonate with the rest of the golfing population. So here in Korea, hugely important in every campaign we do, but not so much at a global level. Another way that we can easily adapt, however, to this Korean market. Once again, you see what we create when, luckily, we had 2 of our assets win on the same weekend, of course, in different tournaments. But she is so important to any campaign that we do. She even has her own social media Instagram tag, which is XXNDL, which I know has a Korean meaning, but I honestly can't remember right now. But then you could see what we post at TaylorMade Korea whenever she has an incredible moment or a win, or we need to convey information to the rest of our audience. Other aspects that are incredibly important that these guys touched on already, but that we use at the local level, are our Team TaylorMade ambassadors. Around the world, they might be known as home pro staff, but these are teaching pros here in Korea that are so important to our sales, to our conversion of new clients and people that all of these ambassadors are teaching. So they have this incredible connection, once again, to not only the people they teach, but on their Instagram and social media feeds as well. Once again, they connect oftentimes even better than our TaylorMade Korea account does. And finally, everybody has talked about influencers. These influencers, we don't ask them to specifically call out TaylorMade golf product. What we do is make sure they are using our TaylorMade hard goods, our clubs, and also wearing, whenever possible, TaylorMade apparel, which TaylorMade apparel is very unique to Japan and Korea only. So it's quite interesting to see how influential they are here in Korea, as all of you in this audience are most likely aware of already, not just in golf. But with 17 posts in November, they've already had almost 11,000 likes and over 25,000, almost 25,000 likes on their videos. These are some of the ads that we use for the launching of new product. Our M Glory women's product just came out the first week in November, and this is how we're trying to reach our audience. This post is then reshared by all of our ambassadors, all of our influencers, and hopefully the rest of the employees that work in our company as well. Finally, to end this, you guys, the people in this room, are the first to see this very simple image. But this will actually go out on TaylorMade accounts worldwide, and of course, this version will go out here on the TaylorMade Korea account on Sunday. But luckily, I got permission from my marketing team to show it to all of you today. So stop taking pictures. No, I'm just kidding. So, very simple. February 2019, everybody gets faster. One of the things, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that one in Korean. All right? So what does it say? 민치둘이 빠르게. Not bad, right? Huh? Give me another 5 years in Korean, I might be able to say hello. So, the last important aspect of social media, at least for TaylorMade, is the teaser. So here you have a very easy way to tease all of our consumers as to what's coming up for our product next year. Unfortunately, I can't tell all of you what that means, but I can promise you 2019 will be even better than 2018 for TaylorMade Golf. So thank you very much, and I look forward to answering some of your questions as well.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been involved in the sports industry for almost over 20 years now, and it's just such a fantastic opportunity to be able to sit aside like-minded individuals. I think we're never too old to keep learning, so it's been an absolute privilege to be here today, so thank you to everyone. First of all, we always thought to ourselves it was a little bit of a challenge having the last session here, so hopefully everyone's still awake, but it could work in our favor or could not, so we're going to see how this goes. Yeah, it's just been an absolute interesting opportunity for me. I work in the global sports goods industry, being able to see what Ryan shared with us. There's been a lot of insights that are really relevant in our market. You speak about connecting with the fans. That's something that we've done pretty well. We're predominantly known as a running brand, and we've seen the successes of being able to connect with consumers on a like-minded perspective. I think there is a massive value for athletes to be able to drive brand communication and support, but I also think there's a lot of value that comes when you get recommendations from your friends. You spoke a lot of the stuff about connecting on a local level. As someone who drives quite a lot of the business from a global perspective, I think there's a lot of nuances that we're faced with, so I can understand the challenges that you guys speak about there. We have a lot of athletes that are obviously very globally recognized, but some athletes that don't necessarily do so well in some of the regional markets. So a big thing to consider always there. So thank you for sharing that as well. And then you speak about storytelling. I think you mentioned around, at the end of the day, for us, it's all about driving business sales as much as it is about engaging with consumers. So that's a really, really big one for us as well. We've actually just had some of the successes. We launched our partnership with Novak Djokovic in January, which has been really, really great for us as a business. And as much as we talk about product and technology in any of our marketing, I think the biggest compelling piece for us was all around emotional storytelling and how he made his comeback to recently be named the #1 tennis player. So again, thanks for sharing all of those insights there as well. We don't have much time, and I think that's okay because I speak quite quickly. I'm with Josh on that one. Most people don't understand what I'm saying. Or translators. But we've had some really, really great questions from everyone in the audience. So
these are awesome.
I'm going to pull out a couple here, and yeah, I look forward to some of your feedback.
Some of these were too late on the 35 goals answer, though. All right, it's over.
I don't have any prizes to give away, but maybe next time we can bring some sneakers or something. I don't know. Okay, one of the questions here, maybe just to give some context, I think you did explain quite a lot of the stuff now, but what is TaylorMade's marketing plan in Korea? Maybe if you can give us a little bit of a snapshot there.
Or Max could just tell me what it is, because he did a great job of explaining, I think, the approach that TaylorMade Global and TaylorMade Korea will be using or approaching in 2019. It's definitely, absolutely heavily weighted more towards digital next year. And what I mean by digital is not just social media, but this Naver and Taum opportunity, which we already are a part of, but we need to expand upon as they expand. And the opportunities that those groups give us to share our brand at the right opportunities for the right consumer, while we still continue to utilize these traditional, what I would call traditional channels of TV and magazines. But that is also changing because now we are partners with these TV companies, with these magazine conglomerates, and creating content, once again, that really resonates with the Korean consumer. So it's about that connection, which the Korean consumer, I'm not an expert after being here for a little over a year, but like you said earlier, learning about what that means, what the Korean consumer is actually looking for, has been one of the most fascinating and the most challenging aspects of my job so far. But I know we are moving in the right direction as a marketing brand to enable us to sell more product to the Korean consumer.
Yeah, that's great. I think it's all about adapting at the same time and being able to make sure that you're at the forefront of what's happening in the industry and then naturally what's happening in the market. This is another great question, and it's something, you know, us as ASICs, I think this works is really, really prevalent as well. I know a lot of brands and businesses are focusing on the younger consumer, but golf is obviously a sport that draws active participation among senior citizens. So how can we effectively utilize social media to specifically target and speak to that consumer?
That's a great question. It's a really good question. And I don't know if even the translators could understand what you just said, and if I should repeat your question
Did
first.
I go way too quick?
Yeah, you did.
I'll repeat that one again. You
No,
go,
I'm
go
just
over
giving
to-
her a little grief because we've known each other now for so long, I could tell her that. But the question was, how do you engage that senior consumer, which obviously is so important here in Korean golf as well, while we continue to try and reach the new and the younger golfer or the social media user that has yet to even pick up a golf club. We do absolutely want to keep engaged the senior golfer. Now, it takes a lot different approach. We've seen the statistics and the analytics that say that, you know, the way seniors use social media is not only different, but it's also still even newer than some of your younger generations. And it's then approaching the social media aspect, but still paying attention to where they're getting their content as well. But as you saw, 70% of Koreans are getting their information now online, and that includes that demographic. So it's all meshing into one specific group. And as any probably Korean university student here can explain or share even better than I can, it's how much we all have to teach our parents still what using social media is about and where they can even get their content and how you post a picture on Instagram and where they can see what I post on Instagram. And when they say to you, oh, send me pictures, and you're like, Mom, it's on Instagram, and they haven't even looked at your feed because she doesn't even know how to get into it. So that's a global challenge which we aren't experts at yet, but we're absolutely looking towards how to still reach that very important demographic.
Great. Good answer. I'll make sure I'm a little bit slower here on the next question.
So I can understand you too.
Yeah, exactly. I think with the whole evolving space here, will brand marketing effects be created when social media and VR are combined?
Where are you getting these questions?
From the very clever people in the audience.
So say that again, honestly, please.
I think pretty much what they're asking here is brand marketing effects are going to be created, the balance between social media and virtual reality are combined.
Oh, okay, well, I don't think you could separate the two anymore. And again, I'm not an expert as much as these guys are, but I think across any of our brands or any of our industries, social media and virtual reality, I think that's what the VR stands for, I hope, are becoming one and the same. And you even saw Facebook owns, help me out with the name of the company that actually makes the virtual reality equipment. So you can't separate them, and that's where it's going. Fortunately for golf, I mean, it's a no-brainer, or for NFL or for soccer, football, all right? How that all is such an incredible opportunity for sports. I mean, you talk about engaging with the consumer. Imagine putting that on and actually being even more a part of that golf shot, or feeling like you're in the crowd surrounded by thousands of fans cheering at the same time for this incredible shot or this incredible win from one of your favorite athletes, no matter what the sport.
Great. Thank you. Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. There's a couple more questions here. I don't know if we've got any there, but there's one or two things that I wanted to speak about personally. Obviously, we're involved with quite a lot of athlete endorsements. I think majority of our marketing investment, almost 40% of it, goes into sports sponsorship, and then the rest naturally towards leveraging. So I think as sports goods brands, we've got to be very, very selective in terms of who we align ourselves with. Sure. You've spoken quite nicely there in terms of how sports brands can achieve positive and tangible ROIs, including increased spectator and revenues, by adequately utilizing social media. But there are naturally some negative effects of social media. How do you think we overcome some of these challenges?
And we actually were talking about that prior to knowing it was a question. So it's interesting because there's always inherent risk in social media as well. I think, didn't you talk about there's a penalty box or a penalty fund probably for improper behavior or improper social media content, or something that doesn't even fit with the brand image of what you're trying to create. So combating that is difficult, but you really just have to, there's so many analytics available out there now. So you are able to study a player profile, an athlete's profile, their social media interaction, what their message comes across, and really look at the personality and see whether that fits with your brand. But even our athletes, our global icons, have made mistakes or controversial comments. And you simply either let it pass, because as you all know, especially with the president from my home country, how quickly news cycles through on social media, you address it, and again, there's that opportunity for them to either apologize or explain even more. But it's an inherent risk that you certainly have to mitigate, but just knowing that you're choosing the right athletes for your brand requires you to have some faith in what they're also sharing with the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's about making calculated choices and calculated risks, I suppose, as best as possible.
Fortunately, golf's not exactly a
big
controversial
I don't know, I'd debate that over
exactly.
Tiger Woods back in the day. But
so we avoid a lot of those issues.
More and more people are enjoying golf these days. Do you think that that means that the influence and importance of golf has increased? And if that is the case, what do you think about the changing scope of that influence?
So golf is absolutely changing in the way people play golf. Here in Korea, for instance, you have screen golf, which there's more screen golf simulators in Korea, no doubt, I can safely say, than in the rest of the world. And it's not a format that's generally recognized anywhere else. But it provides a Korean golfer with this opportunity to play at a more economical cost without having to spend a lot of time in a car to get to a golf course, without dealing with weather issues. It gives them the year-round opportunity to play. In the US or in other global arenas, you have, I don't know if any of you here have heard of what they call Topgolf, which Topgolf is, being straightforward, owned partially by one of our competitors, Callaway, but has reached more new golfers than any other platform in the world.
Wow.
So it's this fun, exciting environment that allows people to go in a casual atmosphere with drinks and music and really understand or hit their first golf ball in a non-judgmental manner.
Great.
So these new ways of attracting golfers, we're seeing it happen in just such interesting dynamics that will hopefully continue to grow the interest in the sport, because they're seeing that conversion from this Topgolf area to the course itself. And with campaigns like what the PGA Tour is doing, or Max and I were having the discussion about, if you want to follow one of the most entertaining golf channels, follow the European PGA Tour. And the humor and joy they offer for golf is unparalleled in any other brand. And that, along with what the PGA Tour is trying to do to actually engage these consumers, is a win-win for everybody.
Which is absolutely fantastic. I think that's great. Yeah. I think something that's probably really pertinent for the audience here, one of the questions specifically was, how do you classify target consumers in the Korean market? And what forms of marketing do you carry out for those groups? Naturally, we're obviously all speaking digital media here. And then finally, are you interested in residence-based targeting? So, for example, what if you could conduct target messaging for different apartment complexes?
So what was the first part?
The first part was, how do you classify target consumers in the Korean market?
Okay. So I'm still learning this again, so please don't call me an expert or take this as 100% guaranteed. But the consumer, for us, a majority of our golfers statistically are based in Seoul. So we want to target this area and this market much more so than some of your outlying regions. But every single region is important, whether it be even Jeju, where you have some of the most beautiful golf courses I've ever seen in the world, or Busan. outlying areas where the golf population is still very strong. And I think that is what goes into geo-targeting. One of the interesting aspects here with TaylorMade Korea is we actually have our own retail, own branded stores, which is not anywhere else in the rest of the world. So that geo-targeting, even down to the town where we have those doors, is something we're absolutely looking into improving ourselves as a company. So reaching those, I think, did they say apartments?
Yeah.
Yeah, so reaching those massive apartment complexes around our specific doors is something we have actually already discussed as a marketing team here in Korea. So all of that will come together as such. And I'm still learning the differences between the regions here in Korea, which absolutely exist. I could share with some similar examples to the US market, but here in Korea it's happening, and we have to become better at taking advantage of that geo-targeting aspect.
Wow, that's super interesting. I mean, it's something I didn't even have any understanding of with the Korean market, so thank you for that feedback. And then lastly, since we don't have much time left, we've seen that athletes obviously have a celebrity lifestyle now. Big focus is on that. It's actually becoming a lot more about the athlete off court or outside of the actual sport lifestyle specifically, versus the actual sport itself. Do you see this as an opportunity to connect with new consumers within your specific space?
So even golf athletes are celebrities, and even golf athletes have, this day and age, a lot of money earned and a lot of money to spend and a lot of endorsements. You might have heard of NetJets or some of these private airline brands that they take pictures in front of these aspirational objects that all of us would love to share in and participate in, whether it be a private jet or a Rolex watch or a BMW that they're driving in all of their social media content, and that they're influencing those brands as well. So there's no doubt that golf is a part of that world and a part of that excitement. And I would call it aspirational living for the rest of us. At least I'm not there yet. You might be.
Definitely not. Still working my way there.
So no doubt that we want to engage more with our athletes on that inside the ropes and outside the ropes living.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen in our own business ourselves the opportunity. We've previously probably been very siloed focused.
Sure.
So if we sponsor an athlete within a specific category, our whole focus has obviously been within that specific space, whether it be the form of pushing product or brand communication. But there is naturally that lifestyle that falls outside.
Sure.
So there's been massive opportunity, I think, for us also identifying cross-category business and growth opportunities.
No
so
doubt.
really,
No doubt.
really great. And I think that's literally us. So, yeah, just
We're done.
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure to join you guys all here today. And yeah, I hope you have a great rest of your trip.
And like they said, if any of you have any additional questions, please feel free to email us, and we will be happy to engage with you even more so after this event. Thank you again on behalf of all of us.
Great, thank you.